guys, welcome back to my man cave. I've been spending some time completing my Chinook in 1/44 scale. You remember this little guy? Unfortunately, the first half of the construction sequence I filmed, but it's pretty much a lost effort because I changed the settings on the camera and everybody is just like way below high definition. Well, you know, wasted time, wasted effort, but this is what I got so far. Just let me change the position of the camera just a little bit to give you a better look on my workbench. And there's the Chinook already. Okay, just some perspective here. Okay, so you see the fuselage is basically all assembled. There are still some spots of filler to remove here around the engine or the rotor nacelles. I don't know how to call that part of the helicopter. Otherwise the kit went together well. There is a pretty prominent groove around the inset of the floorboard, but that is not such a big problem because this little model is going to be sitting so low on the presentation that nobody will ever get a glimpse of all these parts underneath. So all the cleanup I'm doing down here and the extra detail and everything, that will just get a rudimentary treat, just so by chance if anybody ever gets down on his knees and really looks underneath, there will be something to see. Oops, shouldn't do that too often. All right, the fit, as said, is pretty good. Basically, it's just around the rotor parts up here that's a little bit difficult. These parts didn't fit too well. Otherwise, all the seams went away pretty nicely, and even the back hatch was a pretty good fit. There was just a little bit of sanding needed to get the edges to conform to the general outline, and that's the fuselage so far. Then there's the way small engine parts back here that need to be set in appropriate places. That's not too difficult to do, and these parts fit very nicely, and they're very nice, thin and hollow. There are more parts to be added, of course, but I will first have to attach them to the fuselage. Then I have done the rotors. Not having any experience with helicopters, I really took my time gluing these to the central bit. I just glued one at the time and let it rest, sit for an hour or so to make really sure that the plastic pieces are well together nicely. And of course this helicopter will be placed on a small display, and it will be shown in a motionless state, so all the rotor blades should have a sag to it. These were quite straight. What I did was I just used a big dowel and just with applying some pressure, I just rolled the rotor blades with some force to give him a rounded appearance, just to do a little droop, and that should be looking much nicer and more realistic to have them droop away instead of having them all that straight. I did that on the fore and the back rotor. Both are finished already. And well, just taking a look at the sprues here, there are not too many parts left. Most of that is fiddly stuff. Of course, there's the clear parts that will have to be attached to the front. These are dipped in future already, and I will take to masking them pretty soon, as this will be attached before I do my first layer of paint on the fuselage. But mostly I will attach most of the small parts to the fuselage before that, before starting any painting. All right, this is just the state of the action right now, and I will be coming back to you as soon as there is some progress to show for. Okay, here's a little bit on the work of the Chinook HC.1. I told you that there is this part on the rotor nacelle that doesn't really conform well to the shape of the adjacent part. So what's left is for you is using filler. Now, a whole lot of people do complain about styrene fillers, and that is usually due to the fact that there is some properties of the stuff that are not really nice, that doesn't make it nice to work with them. You see, basically this is all molten styrene, and it's sticky and it's grainy and everything, and it dries very quickly, so the window of working with it is not very big. So there's, you know, this is the most simple trick in the book, because most of you use thin putty, and you don't need to buy that stuff. It's not necessary. I mean, you have Revell putty and Revell glue. You have Tamiya putty and Tamiya glue, and that's all there is to it. I mean, this is styrene and it's thinned, and if it isn't thin enough, it's just like add a couple of drops of glue and you know, mix it, blend it, and that's the whole trick. And you see, it's just, you know, I can thin that down into almost liquid state. I mean, the more I'm putting in, and it's getting smoother and less grainy, and the time it's taking to dry is of course taking longer now. Yeah, so if you have big gaps, start with the undiluted stuff right from the tube, and then blend in the glue, thin glue, just to give it more, to make it softer, yeah, to give you a better way to work with it, and you can work with it more easily. Of course, you have to be careful applying this stuff, because the more glue inside, the hotter it gets. So you can mar the surface with this just as you can with any glue. But, you know, if you take in tiny amounts, yeah, with a little spade like this, I mean, you can apply minimal quantities into a space and, you know, scrape off the excess. That is not a very big trick to do. Of course, if you have big gaps to fill, then you need to fill the gap with a sufficient amount of that putty. Yeah, it could be in the beginning the rougher stuff, the undiluted stuff, but then as you go along, you can thin it up and you fill your gap ever so slightly. This, of course, needs sufficient drying time. This needs to be fully dried until you continue to work with it. If you continue to work with it, you need a set of good sanding pads. I have for Squadron, I have some no-name stuff. Most of them are just fine. You know, you need different surfaces. Just take the pads now. I've got a 1500, an 1800, 2400, 3600 grit, 8000 grit, and 12,000 grit. Yeah, and you start with the coarsest, yeah, and then you work your way up. Of course, every time you change the grid, the surface you will be working on should be a little bit bigger than the one before, and this way you get a nice and smooth area all over, you know. And you can see, wait, you can see how coarse that looks on this side, and here you can see, probably you can see the reflection of light. It's passing right through the filled gap, because from taking off the putty down to really polishing it, it's just styrene like any other styrene, and you just smooth it out and you can polish it until shiny, until there's no marred surface or scratches or anything. It's just a matter of time. And as I usually say, that model building is not a sprint. Model building is a long distance run if you want to have a quality build. Of course, it can be fun to do a weekend build contest or something like that, but, well, you know, I'm not that breed. I can't do it. No, I'm not a racehorse, actually. I'm long distance runner. Well, so to speak, figuratively, of course. Okay, so what I'll be doing is I'll be taking off the putty here, and then everything will look as nice as on the other side, and then I can start to rescribe the panel lines, which is not a whole lot difficult. What you need is the right tools, of course. You have a whole assortments of tools ready for doing rescribing. You can buy templates made from photo etch, from plastic, everything. The thing I use most of the time is just regular naming tape. I don't know how to say that in English. Actually, this goes into a machine and little letters are stamped into that, and you stick it, you know, on lockers and stuff like that. Yeah, and this is a pretty rigid but still flexible material, and it's just great. You just cut off a little bit, you remove the tape protection on the back side, and then all you have to do is stick it to the surface where you want it. Well, probably you have to cut it to make it fit, but, well, this one needs to be cut. But all you really need is a straight line left on your tape. So here's a line that should be going all the way around the tip. Yeah, I can follow the line here. I just put down the tape a little bit, and then I take any scribing tool, whatever you feel comfortable. I mean, you can spend lots and lots and lots of money on scribing tools. This is just a X-Acto blade, cheap X-Acto blade handle, and there is a needle inside. You know, it's just a regular needle, and that is just to make the first scratches very finely, just to give the following scriber some lead. And I have spent some money on used dental tools, and these work best for me most of the time. Well, of course, as I told you, you have to go with the tools you can find in your area. Yeah, and if you see, this is something from a dentist toolkit. It's pointy, it's sharp, and it cost me about, I don't know, €3, not more. And now I'm just following the lead that was scratched with the needle first. That's it. This is perfect. This will show nicely as soon as paint is applied. And I'm repeating the procedure on all panel lines I had filled up with the putty before sanding it down. Yeah, after sanding it down, you will see how they become visible again, and then you just have to follow the procedure repeatedly and you get all your panel lines back. That is how easy it really is. Of course, if you do that with a whole lot of patience and if you develop a certain feeling, then this will turn out all nicely. And I'm telling you, I am not an aeroplane modeler. Aeroplane modelers do that a lot more often than I do. In ships, that is usually not a problem. But you can see, even I can do it. So can you. All right. Try that. It's easy. See you in a bit. Bye. Okay, now that all the gaps are filled and sanded and polished, there is a pretty simple trick, and this is really old school modeling, to make the remaining gaps or imperfect surface parts visible. You take any metallizing color, silver or aluminum or something like that. I have this jar of Revell, I think aluminum or steel colored metallizer sitting right here, and I'm taking one of the brushes earmarked for using metallizing color and some thinner, the usual drill. Get the brush wet with thinner, pick some color and apply it evenly on all the parts that have been treated with putty and sanding. And you just need a very thin layer, and all the imperfect sections on the surface, oops, now where am I? Here. Will stick out very obviously, and that'll give you a great chance to smooth over and redo the surface if so needed. And of course, what you have to do now is you have to let the color dry, because you can't sand over these wet color portions. I am actually quite satisfied with the result of my work here, and I think I'm going to leave it at that. There's a little imperfect spot back here, but this is going to be right behind the engine nacelle, so no worries here. I can leave it. Well, now let's get my fingers dirty. Great. Okay, and so I leave it at that. Okay, I'll be back with you in a little bit. Bye.